And welcome to the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, the sports betting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. And we have another fantastic episode here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. And of course, you know me, I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. But I had to bring on two very knowledgeable people, two people who know the world of football very well and be able to break it down left, right, and center. To the center, we have Dennis Holmes from the Ignoranthinkers podcast. Welcome back to the show, Dennis. How's it going?
Everything's going pretty good. How's everybody doing out there? Glad to be here, baby.
And then to my right, we have Rashad Stribling from It's Bro Time.
Yes.
I've had you on the show before, and it's happy to have you back.
Yes, man. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be on. So I'm excited for this discussion tonight.
Absolutely. So we're going to kick it off with the AFC, and you have right behind me is Arrowhead Stadium, or some people have been calling it Burrowhead Stadium in the past couple of days. And right now, the odds makers at Caesar Sportsbook, the most reliable and my personal pick for the best sportsbook in the United States. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are only a 1.5 point favorite against the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, this is a rematch from a year ago where Joe Burrow took on Kansas City Chiefs, popped Patrick Mahomes in the mouth, and went to the Super Bowl that year just to lose to Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. But back to what we're talking about this year. So you have Joe Burrow taking on Patrick Mahomes. Burrow's never lost to Mahomes in the NFL. That's something that Mahomes definitely going to have on his mind in this game on that day. So I'm going to start with Dennis, then go to Rashad, and then eventually we'll get to your host, Ian Rickelli. But Dennis, who do you have in this game? Who do you have going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC? Kansas City or Cincinnati?
I love Cincinnati's defense. Their defensive coordinator, I keep forgetting his name, but I'm always praising him because he's doing it with no all pros and he's getting it done. I mean, he got Eli Apple at corner and still shutting people down. So I'm going with Cincinnati. I think Kansas City best chance to beat Cincinnati was last year with Tyreek Hill. I don't think they get it done with this wide receiver core. So Cincinnati wins this game. I think the score I had was 28-24 Cincinnati.
28-24. You know what? That is definitely respectable. And Rashad, what about you? Who you got in this game? You go with Joe Burrow or you're going to go with Patrick Mahomes? Who you got?
I'm in huge agreement with Dennis. Man, I think Cincinnati pulls this off. I think they do. Once they beat the Bills the way they did, going into Buffalo and beating them the way they did in Buffalo's element, the snow, and just kind of taking their soul away from them in a sense. And they're on they're a team on a mission. Possessed defensively. Joe Burrow is Joe Cool under pressure. And I got Cincinnati pulling off the upset once again and going to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances.
It's going to be great to see. And your pick here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio is the team behind me, the Cincinnati Bengals. I have them going back-to-back, going to the Super Bowl. Look, as much as Patrick Mahomes, as much as he has been dominant the past 4 years, it really feels like Joe Burrow has finally been the one player that can go up against Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow really feels like a quarterback that can actually go step by step and punch by punch and, pretty much passing play after passing play. And I will point out that Joe Burrow, his confidence is something you have to admire.
Right.
Like, for someone who is as young as Joe Burrow is and how many years he's been in the NFL, he has the confidence of someone like Aaron Rodgers. He has the confidence of someone like Drew Brees, Tom Brady. He has that veteran leadership. Yes. So I will say Joe Burrow with that cool, calm, charismatic confidence he got. Give me Joe Burrow in this game. Now, the one aspect that we are going to break down here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, and I'll start with Dennis here, is who's going to be a player either on Kansas City or on Cincinnati that you think is going to be an impact player, someone who's really going to stand out in this game?
I'm gonna say Hayden Hurst. I've been
Mm,
using him a lot. Tight end Hayden Hurst. I'm gonna say Hayden Hurst. I've been using him a lot lately. Being the fact that those wide receivers are so deadly, you kind of forget about a guy like Hayden Hurst, who was formerly a first round pick for the Baltimore Ravens.
And a former Pittsburgh Pirate was drafted in MLB as well. Now,
Didn't know that.
Rashad, what about you? Who you got? Who's your impact player in this AFC Championship game?
Dennis just gave him a ton of credit, which is the defensive coordinator from the Bengals. So I'm going to go on that side of the ball, and I'm going to go with Henderson, the defensive end for Cincinnati. I think he's going to have a big game this weekend, and I think he leads that team to victory.
And you know what? Everybody's going with Cincinnati, and I might as well join it here because really the person I think is going to be an impact is running back Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is going to have an impact game. Everyone's focusing on Jamar Chase, respectfully so. People are focusing on T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. But Kansas City going up against the run has been questionable. As a matter of fact, the defensive end is one of their biggest weaknesses on Kansas City. So if I understand that, and their running game is a
Defensive end is a weakness with Frank Clark getting all that money. What?
Yeah, who could have expected that, right? Yeah, who could have expected that? But yeah, so with the running game being a weakness, I would have Joe Mixon be my impact player in this AFC Championship game. And I'm reading the chat here. Dalton Smith, you have the Chiefs. You're going to be the odd one here. You're going to be picking Kansas City. We got Cincinnati here. But these comments here, Patrick Mahomes had a better year without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And
he came as far as he came as far as he's going to come. That's all you need to know.
Just because you had a better year without Tyreek Hill doesn't mean you're going to go all the way.
Yeah.
And also, Cincinnati Bengals having Jamar Chase. Is that conversation about Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, that's pretty much dead, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Penei Sewell's all pro in my eyes. But no, he didn't go all pro. Let me not say that on the shirt. But he's definitely a good offensive lineman, so maybe.
And once again, I always want everyone to be included here on the show. Only way Kansas City won't win is without Patrick Mahomes. Ooh, that's a lot of confidence there. That if they have Patrick Mahomes, they're going to win. Don't have Patrick Mahomes, they're not going to win.
Aaron Rodgers' little brother.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Pat, he's fighting an uphill battle with that high ankle sprain. That's a big time injury that a lot of people not talking about. Usually come back from that after like 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. That's a 4 to 5 week injury. And the fact that he was playing on that, and continue to show his grit as a football player, his toughness. So shout out to Patrick Mahomes, but he's gonna have to move against this pass rush from Cincinnati. And I don't think he can move. I think he's going to be very stationary in this game. So I think that's going to play a huge factor of him not being able to create that Pat Mahomes magic on the run and scramble or whatnot. So that's why I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals to win this. It'll be a close one still, but unless the Kansas City Chiefs defense play out of their mind, because anything can happen. But I still got Cincy winning this game.
You know what? One last part before we go over to the NFC Championship game and talk about maybe Dennis's team. I think the Philadelphia might give it away, but maybe Dennis's team. But before we get into that, I'm going to say here on the show one last part. And there you go. You got to put on the Eagles there. You got to represent. Absolutely 1,000%. Now, one last question on the AFC Championship game is there's a lot of people who want the next Brady versus Manning, okay? The media wants it. The fans want it. The people out in the sports books, they want it. there is plenty of people who want a new Brady versus Manning. And a lot of people remember in the mid-2000s, we were all there. They kept on facing in the playoffs year after year after year.
Right.
A majority of the time, that winner went to the Super Bowl. And people are saying that they're getting deja vu. They're getting that Manning versus Brady vibes in this rivalry here. That the Chiefs and Bengals really feels like a rivalry in the NFL. Yeah, Dennis, do you think that's true? That this is really for the first time in a long time an established rivalry where the team wins, goes to the Super Bowl, every single year it's going to be between these two?
I think it's possible. I don't think it's gonna be every year. In that Brady Manning rivalry, Big Ben came in there, he threw his elbows in and got some in there as well. So I think what people wanted was Mahomes Allen.
Right.
But Burrow threw his elbows in there and say, no, this is my lane. I'm coming in here to take what's mine. The AFC is mine.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's what I feel.
And Rashad, are you the same way?
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. I think they wanted the Allen and Mahomes rivalry, but the Bills can't get it done when it matters the most. So, unfortunately, we're getting Joe Cool against Patrick Mahomes, which I like even better. So, that's why I said like this game is huge, huge bragging rights, huge implications on who the best quarterback in the league will be going ahead into next year. I think right now you have to say Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league, but don't sleep on Joe Cool, especially if he gets to the Super Bowl and win it.
Hey, Dennis, you got a response to that?
I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league, but he did a damn good job this year. When you throw for 5,000 yards, a lot of people put, spectacles and stuff around you. So unless you're Jameis Winston, but other than that, you throw 5,000 yards is a great thing.
Right.
I don't.
Hey, you know
I don't
what?
think
Patrick
anything-
Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Really, the last 4 seasons, he has been the best quarterback in the league. I mean, your quarterback might be in a few years, but right now, Patrick Mahomes.
I ain't say nothing about my quarterback. We play as a team here, sir.
So as we are doing our AFC Championship and NFC Championship game picks here on the Sports Angle on prconnectionradio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Dennis Holmes from Ignorant Thinkers podcast and Rashad Stribling from It's Bro Time. And moving on to the NFC Championship game. And you know what? This is going to be a matchup that I'm really excited to see. And as we have the San Francisco 49ers Levi Stadium behind me, and then we'll have the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium behind me in just a second. Gotta show both sides here on the Sports Angle. But Dennis, this game here is going to be a 2.5-point spread for your Philadelphia Eagles. They're the favorite in this matchup. So with that being said, with your team being a 2.5-point favorite at home and a very rowdy, and I will say a very passionate Philadelphia crowd, you going with your Philadelphia Eagles here? Gonna be your pick?
Yeah. I mean, man, it's only one way to go. That's all I'm gonna say. It's only one way to go. I've been bleeding green. Now it's time for me to cash in. Let's do it.
And hopefully nobody disrespects Rocky and puts a 49ers jersey over him this time.
Too late. They did it already. Too late.
I thought it was a shirt. Was it a jersey? I thought it was a shirt.
It was a shirt they put up there. The Vikings put a towel on him, and I think a shirt as well.
That's why I'm saying if 49ers win, they should put a jersey on there. I'm just saying if they win.
If they win, man.
And Rashad, what about you, man? Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, 2.5-point favorite for the home team, Philadelphia Eagles.
Man, I picked the Eagles a couple of days ago. I could see this game going either way. I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners win, just like I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles win. But I'm gonna stick with the home team, and I'm gonna stick with the number 1 seed, Philadelphia Eagles, to win this game.
And your host, Ian Rakelli here. Look, as much as the Philadelphia Eagles, they've had a great season. Jalen Hurts was going to be MVP if he hadn't gotten injured. I full confidently believe that your quarterback would have won MVP if he hadn't gotten hurt. Philadelphia Eagles have been the best team this year. But you know what, Dennis? I got to rock with this team here. I got to go with West Coast, all right? I got to go with San Francisco, Santa Clara, California. I'm going for the San Francisco 49ers out here. And I say the Bay Area will be in Glendale, in Arizona. San Francisco 49ers will beat the Philadelphia Eagles and take on the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now, addressing a few comments here, Josh Allen chokes in the playoffs every single year when we were talking about the Bills a while ago. Early on, but he is developing that reputation, a very Phillip Rivers-esque reputation.
And he wears the same number.
Wears the same number too, ironic. At least he's not 1-5 in NFC Championship games. Right, Rashad?
Very true. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that is very true. 1-4. 1-4. But Rodgers definitely has that perception that he chokes.
I thought y'all was talking about Donovan McNabb. I was wondering what y'all was talking about. I mean, I thought it was talking about Donovan McNabb.
Yeah. That 2008 NFC Championship game. I mean, right?
Yeah. It was in Arizona.
It was in Arizona too. Yeah. So the 49ers shut Hurts down. Lots of people going to owe Dak some apologies.
I don't have nothing against Dak. Dak threw 2 interceptions, lost that game. It was Dak's fault.
All right.
I don't have nothing against Dak. I'm actually one of the biggest Dak supporters. I'm more of a Dak supporter than some Cowboy fans.
Right.
That's why I wanted to get traded.
That is true.
Hey, I'm a huge supporter of Dak. I think that he, in terms of talent, is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Like, talent-wise, he's top 5.
Yeah, he just can't make those out throws.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Top 5. I think he's definitely top 8. I mean, you can definitely agree with that. Top 5 is, I say top 5, that's elite. But, I mean, right now, the quarterback carousel in the NFC is not good. The best quarterback in the NFC is Jalen Hurts. So, and that's not a knock at Jalen or the NFC. It's just all the elite QBs is in the AFC conference, but Jalen Hurts is legit, and he's the best quarterback in that conference.
Now, hold on. There is an elite quarterback in the NFC.
Who?
And that's Brock Purdy.
Man, please.
Hey, how many wins does he got to do before he's elite?
Hey, that's cute. Man, please.
Hey, Dennis said it himself, man. I mean, he's won how many games in a row? What has it been? 7 games, 8 games? How many games he won?
You're right, but
you won a lot of games.
I'm going with Hurts. I take the consistency over the new kid on the block.
So for this NFC Championship game, Philadelphia versus San Francisco, similar to what we did on the AFC side. And of course, I will start with the Philadelphia Eagles fan to our center here. And that is, who will be an impact player in this game? Who's going to be a player that, not Hurts, not Purdy, but somebody else that you think is going to make a big impact in this NFC Championship game? Of course, I'll start with Dennis.
It's going to come down to 2 guys, Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. They're going to have to make impacts on the ends to get their hands on Brock Purdy. And I believe Josh Sweat is going to get the best of Trent Williams on Sunday. I really do.
The best offensive tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, saying a lot. Saying a lot.
I know. We faced Trent Williams before he became a San Francisco 49er back in the day, so we already know what we're dealing with him. He's more so like family. Sorry we got to do this to you, though.
And what about you, Rashad? Who's your impact player in this game? Who you got?
I think it's gonna come down to Purdy and Darius Slay. I think honestly, we'll see what kind of pressure Purdy is under from that Phillies defense. This is a game where if he plays cat and mouse, tries to, with that secondary of Philly, he will get burned. They will not drop picks, not like that secondary in Dallas. And I'm not taking nothing away from Dallas. They had a hell of a defensive effort last year, but the Eagles secondary is, to me, the best secondary in football.
Shout out to James Bradbury, by the way.
Right.
Shout out to the Giants for cutting him.
Very true. Yeah, it was a vendetta, kind of a revenge game, just like Boston Scott. For some reason, he has a vendetta against the Giants.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I love it.
Now, my impact player of the game, we're going to go back to San Francisco here, and that is the best middle linebacker in the game, and that's Fred Warner. Fred Warner is going to make Jalen Hurts sweat, very heavily on that NFC Championship game. He's going to be terrorizing Jalen Hurts all game long.
He's going to definitely have to, because they have to control him, because if they don't, he is going to burn them severely. So he is a guy to watch against the Eagles, definitely.
Maybe.
And, kind of wrapping this up a little bit before we get into our NFL Mock Draft 3.0 here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Dennis Holmes from Ignorant Thinkers Podcast and Rashad Stribling from It's Bro Time. And considering what we've predicted, I have the 49ers versus Bengals. Dennis, you have Eagles versus Bengals. And Rashad, you have Bengals versus Eagles. If you had to come out and say, you know what, I have $100 in my pocket, I'm going to go to Caesar Sportsbook, and I'm going to place a bet down on who I have winning the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now, who do you have and why? I'll start with Rashad this time.
That's tough. I guess money-wise, I would say the 49ers. And the only reason why is because Shanahan, the defense is proven. I don't know. I would just say the experience. They've been the hot hand for about over a month now. So I would say the Niners, but that's if I'm placing a bet. I'm putting my money on the Niners.
And then, Dennis, I think I know your answer. Is it the New York Giants? Is it the
New York Giants? The New York Midgets. It's the New York Midgets.
All right, so the Philadelphia Athletics. Got it. So that's who you're going to put your $100 down on.
Okay. That's right. All I know is one thing, though, Ian. Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, play the San Francisco 49ers. Dangerous team, too. That's a dangerous team. They're on the road. 12-game winning streak. Dangerous team.
And if I had to put $100 down, I'm going to go with Joe Burr. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. That would be who I'd put my $100 down on. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals, not just because they've never done it, but this is a Cincinnati Bengals team that really built off the momentum from last year. There was a lot of people who thought last year was just a one-year wonder. It was going to be a fluke in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. They come back this year, and they've proven to the whole NFL world it wasn't a fluke. They are legit now. So I got Cincinnati there, and that's what I think it would be if I had to put $100 down. Now, with that being said, it's time to get into the NFL Mock Draft 3.0. We did 1.0 in December. We did a 2.0 in January. We actually had Dennis on that show when we did the last mock draft. So how the rules are going to be is very simple. We're going to be going down the draft. I'll be giving who I have. And Dennis and Rashad, if you have any comments or any statements or anybody that you think is different, you can definitely, say if you agree or disagree. But of course, the Chicago Bears are behind me because I am a Chicago Bears fan. And I do. Hey, Rashad. Hey, come on now.
I had to poke fun at you a little bit.
Hey, there you go, man. Hey, you know what? It's all good, man. It's all good. I got a bright off season. I'm very looking forward to this off season, man.
As you should.
And I do have a stipulation when we do our NFL mock drafts here on the Sports Angle, and I limit myself to 3 trades during the first round. Now, I know there's probably going to be about 800 trades in real life, but I'm going to limit myself to 3. And the first one is going to involve the number 1 overall pick.
Yep.
I have the Chicago Bears trading the number 1 overall pick to the Indianapolis Colts, going down the interstate there. And I have them trading with the Indianapolis Colts. They get a 4th overall pick this year. They get a number 1 overall pick next year, and they get a number 1 pick the year after. So 3 years of number 1s.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the Indianapolis Colts with the number 1 overall pick take the best quarterback available in this draft. It's not Will Levis. It's not Bryce Young. It is C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, Dennis, what do you think, man? You agree that C.J. Stroud should be the number 1 pick?
I think it should be Bryce Young, but I'm not mad at C.J. Stroud at all.
And what about you, Rashad? What's your input?
I'm not surprised. It's funny you had that trade. I had the same exact trade with the Indianapolis Colts because I believe they will trade with the Chicago Bears and get that 1 pick and select C.J. Stroud. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they're going to select C.J. Stroud. I think the number 1 overall pick is going to either be Young or Levis. And if I put my money on it, I think Levis, it might be the number 1 overall pick. I think he probably will be.
I see some BS like that happening too, Rashad.
Man, I'm telling you.
Hey, you know what? Let's be honest.
I think Levis will be the number 1 overall pick when it's all said.
I don't think he's the better quarterback.
Oh, no, I don't either.
No, absolutely not.
Just the way this thing is going, how he's picking up so much traction over the last, 2 weeks, I think for sure, I think Levis will mess around and be the number 1 overall pick because of that trade.
Hey, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because every draft, it feels like this happens to at least one quarterback. Zach Wilson, Mitch Trubisky. I think it happened to, who was it in 2018? Was it Sam Darnold? There was like a quarterback in 2018 that shot up for no
Carson
reason. Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Another Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But I think Will Levis, especially if you get that, if the Colts trade for that number 1 pick, I think they'll end up taking Will Levis.
Which they don't even have to trade to get him, but
right.
I mean, to be fair, the Chicago Bears didn't have to move up 1 pick to get Mitchell Trubisky, but
right.
Oh, that's San Fran. They good at that. They swindled you.
Well, I mean, they got Fred Warner in the deal, so.
Stole your linebacker. That's definitely a Chicago Bears linebacker. Damn, they good. Stole your fucking linebacker after they got rid of Reuben Foster. Fuck, I ain't even put all that shit together. Yo, they good. Damn.
Hey, you know what? We also had an all-pro linebacker in Roquan Smith. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The Baltimore Ravens have an all-pro linebacker in Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
But you know what? We'll get back to my Chicago Bears later in this mock draft. So at number 2, we have the Houston Texans, and I have them taking quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama with C.J. Stroud off the board. Bryce Young goes here. This actually would be the 18th time in NFL draft history that a quarterbacks go 1 and 2. So, you know what? What do you think, Dennis? Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud both go 1-2?
Yeah, that's how it should be. Even though I don't want him to go to Houston Texans because he just been fucking people up over there in Houston. But I do believe he deserves everything he's gonna get, and he gets to hook up with his old partner in crime, Michi. So everything's gonna be all right. If Michi beats cancer, let me get that one.
Yeah,
there you go.
You, Sean.
And what about you, Rashad?
I agree. I think Young goes there too. I'm with Dennis. I would hate to see him with the Texans because that organization is toxic. But what can you do?
Man, what can you do?
I mean, if there is any organization that is terrible for a young up-and-coming quarterback, it is the Houston Texans. I mean, their most successful quarterback was Matt Schaub, and they got him from the Atlanta Falcons.
No, their most successful quarterback was Deshaun Watson. And they drafted him.
I'm just saying, statistically, Matt Schaub got him to multiple playoff games. Matt Schaub back in the 2000s, early 2010s. No, Matt Schaub was a good quarterback back in the day.
Matt Schaub won a playoff game?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Matt Schaub. He actually won their first ever playoff game.
I would have never guessed that shit.
Me neither.
I would have never guessed that shit. I didn't even think he made the playoffs. I just thought he just did good like a regular season QB.
Shout out to Blaze, by the way. 2011 AFC wildcard game. They beat Andy Dalton and the Bengals.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit. Never mind.
Oh, wow.
Now, continuing our 2023 NFL Mock Draft 3.0 here on the Sports Angle on prconnectionradio.com, the voice of new media.
With the third pick, made the earth sick. Fade away, fade away. Who you get?
Arizona Cardinals, they will take defensive tackle Jalen Carter from University of Georgia.
Oh, they need that too. They need that.
Yeah.
I prefer Jalen Carter over Will Anderson. It's a bit of a hot take, but I think Jalen Carter is actually better than Will Anderson.
But they could have used either or, but yeah.
Yeah.
Who you got the 4th overall pick?
And with the 4th overall pick, my favorite team, the Chicago Bears, will take defensive end Will Anderson from Alabama.
That was a good homer still right there.
Yeah,
you know what?
I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
I will say, however, the Bears have built their team through defense. That's what they've always done, and I think they're going to do the same thing again, build their team through the draft. So
that should be all right.
And also the fact that he's going to sack Jordan Love for the next 4 or 5 years, that's going to be pretty good too.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Who knows? Jordan Love might be rolling out, throwing dimes again.
Well,
hey, maybe, as long as it's not Aaron Rodgers and his $54 million. So.
Right, exactly. So I don't care.
What's number 5?
Number 5, the Seattle Seahawks will take defensive end Miles Murphy from Clemson.
I can see that.
I mean, Seattle needs edge rusher. I mean, if you saw the San Francisco playoff game, they couldn't even get anything on Brock Purdy.
No, they couldn't. So
I like the guy number 10 though. I like him. I can't think of his name.
Brian Breesy, maybe.
Yeah, probably Brian Breesy from Clemson.
No. Number 10 on Seattle.
Off top of my head, I don't remember, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. They do have a Chinna Nwosu, so he's pretty good. But Murphy would definitely help.
Yeah, and you know what? Shout out to my family out in Seattle, by the way. You got a top 5 pick and made the playoffs in the same year. So shout out to you.
Yeah.
Now, my second trade here on our mock draft, I have the Carolina Panthers trading up from 9 to 6 and taking quarterback Will Levis from Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah,
The Frank Reich era is going to start out with a bang, and that's getting his new quarterback in Will Levis.
Yeah, they need a quarterback, so I could definitely see that. Who you got at 7?
At 7, and since we're in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, I have the Raiders taking offensive tackle Peter Skronsky from Northwestern.
Yeah, and they need tackle help bad. They need offensive line help bad. No matter if they have Brady at quarterback, Rodgers at quarterback, they need some kind of help on the offensive line. You got to think, if they get Brady or Rodgers, more than likely they will draft offensive line in the first round.
But see, I think they need to go get Ringo.
Yeah, they need a corner. But you got to protect. You'll have to protect, especially Brady. He's a statue. He's definitely a statue. He's always been somewhat called a statue. Now that he's like 50, he's for sure a statue. So,
absolutely. I mean, I don't think he should come back, by the way.
I
If I'm
don't.
Tom Brady, he should retire.
Right. He should definitely retire, but he won't. So, and I think the Raiders will either get him or Rodgers. And yeah, I think they'll go offensive line.
Raiders are going to get Garoppolo since he's a former Patriot.
I can see that too.
Oh, the good old Patriots way. You bring in an assistant coach and then bring in a bunch of former Patriots. Awesome. Oh, it's since you mentioned Aaron Rodgers very quickly, I'm gonna pivot real quick. So Rashad, Aaron Rodgers to the Las Vegas Raiders, is that just something you want to see happen or something that you've heard might happen?
No, I could definitely see it happening. You gotta understand too, it's all about, we always talk about this in life, it's all about relationships and who you know, right? And who you trust. And that's exactly how it is in the NFL. It's all about who you know, the relationships you build over time. And the Packers have done so much business with the Raiders. They've done a ton of business with the Raiders. So regardless, I could definitely see that happening. I could definitely see Rodgers going to the Raiders for a first round and possibly a second round pick, or a first round pick and a player. I could definitely see that. Brian,
what's the boy y'all had? The wide receiver y'all had, number 84. And I'm not talking about Shannon Sharp, brother.
You talking about you're not talking about James Jones.
No, I think I'm talking about Javon Walker.
Javon Walker, yeah.
Oh, Javon Walker, yeah. Javon Walker.
So
that was my guy. That was, to me, that was my favorite Packers wide receiver.
Yeah, he was cold. He was cold.
Man, yeah,
and
that boy was talented.
You just talk about just the business aspect of it. We've done business with them for a long time, so I could definitely see Brian Gutekunst picking up the phone, talking to Davis, and saying, "Look, man, I wanted Waller forever. You guys denied me. Let's get a deal done with. You give us the top 10 pick, we get Waller as well, and we'll give you Rodgers." So I could definitely see that. So
that's right. Last off season.
Because I can see them saying, "Oh yeah, well the Jets said they're gonna give us something more."
Right.
And then they can swindle them to get more shit. That's fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah. And Darren Waller, the highest paid tight end in the NFL.
That's right. And you know how desperate the Raiders are. They are a desperate franchise. So
yeah.
I could totally see that happening. Even though if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised, but I could definitely see it happening.
So continuing with the NFL mock draft, this is my last trade that I have on here. The Tennessee Titans trade up to get offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. I mean, let's just face it. Derrick Henry is your face of the franchise, and that offensive line has been questionable at best the past 2 years.
True.
So if you're going to protect Derrick Henry, you're going to protect a young Malik Willis, a quarterback, you need to get an offensive tackle.
Very true. Don't be surprised if they look into getting a veteran quarterback too. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe a Derek Carr here in Las Vegas.
Carr, Rodgers, Garoppolo. You know, they will definitely be in the market for a veteran quarterback.
And since this next pick is related to Philadelphia, or is from the state of Philadelphia, at number 9, the Detroit Lions, after trading down from 6, take defensive back Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State.
Yes.
I don't think he should have been the first corner off the books, but I like the pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This corner class is starting to get a lot of traction. Along with the quarterback class. It's a very deep group. There's a lot of top-end talent at the corner position. You got the kid from Illinois. You got
Devon Witherspoon.
You also got the kid you got Ringo, of course, and you got the kid from Maryland that's getting a lot of traction as well.
That's true.
So yeah, I like this corner class a lot. I can see Porter. I can see your guy from Utah, who's my favorite corner.
Oh, Clark Phillips, absolutely.
Legit. So I'm a
Ringo. I'm a Ringo guy.
Corner.
See, that's the thing, Dennis. We're opposite. Yeah, we're opposite, Dennis. I am very high on Porter over Ringo. Just my preference. I think Porter's better than Ringo.
Yeah, me too.
And funny enough, speaking of your Philadelphia Eagles, with the 10th pick, I have them taking Pac-12 legend Christian Gonzalez, defensive back from Oregon.
Okay.
Hey, getting to watch Oregon versus Utah, I will say this. He was a game maker. I mean, he was a playmaker on the defensive side for University of Oregon. So, hey, Dennis, if you could get him at 10, if you can have him be a future cornerstone of your defense, I would do it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
We're going to see. I like the pick. Atlanta.
And shout out to Ron Thomas, by the way. At number 11, Atlanta Falcons will take defensive end Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech.
So this is the second best edge rusher you saying in the draft?
Second best edge rusher, yes.
Well, it's crazy, Dennis, because I don't know if you agree with me, Ian, but this edge class is kind of weak. It's
compared to recent years.
Yeah, it's a lot of projects. So you got the kid Van Ness out of Iowa.
Yeah, I seen him play.
Yeah, seen him. You got the kid out of Texas. I'm very cautious about a Texas Tech defensive player, regardless.
Of course.
Defense at all at that school. So I'm very cautious to see a Texas Tech defensive prospect, to pick a Texas Tech defensive prospect in general. So it'll be funny. It'll be interesting to see how he tests at the combine, and because that'll be a huge indicator on what type of player he is and his projection.
And you know what? Since we're going to be staying with Texas here, we're going to go to the 12th pick, and I actually have the Houston Texans staying in the state of Texas. And the Houston Texans, with the 12th pick, take the best receiver in the NFL draft, and that is Quentin Johnston from TCU. So I have Bryce Young and Quentin Johnston going in the same draft class. Dennis, what do you think? I mean, the Houston Texans can make a 2-for-1 splash here, getting the best receiver and maybe the best quarterback.
Okay. I don't think he's the best receiver, but I understand. He is that guy.
So who do you have then?
I think you should go get Jordan Addison.
Yeah, I can see Jordan Addison from SC, most definitely.
Hey, you know what? Much respect to Jordan Addison. He's a Pac-12 legend. I mean, he's done a lot in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know how much you love the Pac-12. It's about to get real ridiculous over there.
Oh, absolutely, especially with Deion Sanders and Colorado. Yeah.
Deion said we coming.
And with USC, with them going to the Big Ten in 2024, I don't got to deal with them no more.
Nope. It's crazy.
Somebody else going too.
UCLA.
UCLA.
Okay.
The little bro of USC. Everybody knows.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, what's the next one?
Hey, I'm just saying, Rashad knows too. UCLA, they're the little bro. They get beaten up by USC. Come on now.
Yeah, they do.
What's the next one?
So New York Jets, they take offensive tackle Broderick Jones from University of Georgia.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Especially when they get Aaron Rodgers this offseason.
Man,
they get Aaron Rodgers, they shit.
Hey, they get Aaron Rodgers. That pick right there be ours. So I'm not tripping.
Hey, you know what? Do you need offensive line help? I forget with Green Bay.
Yeah, we do need tackle help. So yeah. So that'd be, I mean, regardless, if that's us at 13, that'd be great because we pick at 15 too. So it'd be great to get 2 first-round picks in the top 15.
Yeah, it definitely would be great. I mean, just like the A.J. Brown trade last year, the Philadelphia Eagles, that was definitely a great trade in hindsight.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
Worked out for everybody.
And moving on to pick 14, the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick. He will take wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC.
Oh, he gets the good shit. Ain't this some shit?
I mean, good pick, but horrible fit, in my opinion. But good pick. I mean, New England can't draft wide receivers and develop them for anything. They're horrible at it. If you just look at their recent history, they just do not do well with
N'Keal Harry. Yeah.
N'Keal. I mean, even you can go back further than that. I think the last good receiver I remember them developing was Branch get drafted there?
Deion Branch. Yeah. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And then before that, you got to go Terry Glenn. And after that, I mean, I don't know who. So
you know what? I forget. Was Joey Galloway drafted by New England, or was that somebody else?
I thought he was drafted by Dallas.
I thought Joey Galloway was drafted by Seattle.
Probably, yeah.
It was by one of those. It was definitely by one of those.
Yeah, it wasn't New England. I know that. So, yeah, they're horrible at that.
I think New England is Terry Glenn and Troy Brown.
Yeah.
I think they're those guys.
Probably, yeah. So it's a great pick, horrible fit. So,
yeah. And by the way, before somebody who's a Patriots fan that I know personally comes on into the comment section, Julian Edelman was a 7th round pick.
Yes,
no, I mean if you.
Yes, he was, and he was a quarterback out of Kent State.
Yeah, he was a quarterback too, so I'm not counting that as developing, that kind of thing.
I wish they'd let be a quarterback like that. What's his name? Tim Couch? Was it just Couch?
Who? Eric Crouch?
Eric Crouch.
Eric Crouch, yeah.
Yeah, Eric Crouch. He was fast as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, funny. Since we talked about receivers, at number 15, the Green Bay Packers. That's who y'all got.
I wouldn't mind getting that receiver at 15, but we're not drafting a receiver in the first round. So
it's not the Packer way.
No, and honestly, we don't need to.
It would be the first time since Javon Walker. Ironically, we mentioned him earlier in the show.
I don't know if I don't know if Jackson Smith Njigba is the answer at 15. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather take a defensive tackle, edge, possibly a corner, safety. I'd rather go defense on that side of the ball, especially if we go offensive tackle. I'd rather go back to the trenches at 15 and get a premium pick there and get a premier edge rusher or run stuffer. So we're not drafting receiver in the first round.
Sure ain't.
And you know what, Blaze, since you're in the chat, you say Bengals versus Eagles. Well, I got Bengals 49ers. So we're kind of a little bit different there. Now, staying with our NFL mock draft, at 16, I had the Washington politically correct, taking defensive back, Kelly Ringo from University of Georgia. So I got Ringo going to Washington at 16, and Washington getting a premier defensive back to play in the NFC East against Philadelphia, against Dallas, and against New Jersey. So
nice. Who you got at 17?
At 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers fixes the offensive line still, and they get guard Osiris Torrance from University of Florida.
I like that pick. They need offensive line help. So yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yep, I like that pick a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
As long as the Bengals win the chip, it's all good.
Hey man, I feel you, Blaze. Do what you got to do, baby. Do what you got to do.
And he says, Redskins. I just say, Washington politically correct. That's the way I call them. And then at 18, thanks to the Detroit Lions, I have them taking the 4th and final quarterback in the first round. And I have them taking good old AR-15, Anthony Richardson from University of Florida.
I love this pick. I love this one.
I hate it because I don't think I think he's like a 2nd or 3rd round pick in my opinion.
He is, but for them to get him, he can sit a year, learn under Jared Goff, and then take over the. Woo!
That's my logic. My logic is he can be like Jordan Love, sit for a while, wait for him to develop, and then eventually become quarterback.
The crazy part is he doesn't even have the arm talent Love did coming out. So it's
No,
just
he don't.
I just I
I,
don't.
I think he's a
He's like a Hunley from Utah that went to
Howard Huntley.
no,
Yeah.
Huntley actually, is actually good.
right.
Honestly, I want to say he's Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, I can see
All
that.
wheels, all wheels, not really an arm, but
Arm.
I believe him in this system can actually learn how to get his arm together, and
Oh
he can
no,
end up, and he
I
can
think being in Detroit, he'd
his
be an excellent
goal is
pick.
to end up being a Jalen Hurts. His goal is to go from a Terrell Pryor to a Jalen Hurts. That's
but
his
you
goal.
but you need a Lincoln Riley quarterback development to get to that point.
Yeah, that's why I said he should have stayed another year. I kept saying, I said
Because
he should have stayed another
that's
year.
what helped Hurts going to Lincoln Riley. When he
Yeah.
left Bama and went to Lincoln Riley.
I will point out, however, who the quarterback coach is in Detroit, and that is the legendary Mark Brunell. So,
And I understand that. And former Packer got drafted by the Packers.
yeah, maybe a former Packer.
Yeah,
maybe.
got drafted by the Packers.
He did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By the way, I also want to point out that Amon-Ra St. Brown, his receivers coach is Antoine Randall. So,
which is amazing too. That's another Super Bowl champion. So I mean, hey, one thing.
And since we have Cowboys fans in the chat, their defensive coordinator is former Cowboys defensive back Aaron Glenn. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a nice.
By the way, Blaze called you out. Don't ever disrespect Jalen Hurts with that Richardson comparison.
Right. Richardson is horrible.
And he'll go to the Detroit Lions at 18.
Who you got 19?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive back Sam Smith from South Carolina.
Yeah, they need corner help because
they need O-line. That should have been an offensive line pick. They need O-line. That should have been an offensive line
both
pick.
Their corners are restricted free agents.
They need O-line.
Yeah, they really need help on the secondary. I mean, that secondary was trash against.
They got to get them a tackle. Maybe they get it in free agency, but they got to get them a tackle. Donovan Smith got to go.
I agree with you.
Absolutely. Then at 20, I have the steal of the draft, and that is the Seattle Seahawks take defensive tackle Brian Breesy from Clemson.
Man, if Seattle get him and that edge rusher, you talk about a team cooking with gas on defense after the Russell Wilson haul they got.
And they can spark on offense.
Man. Boom 2.0 maybe?
Man, hey, as I tell you, get rid of these goofy ass old quarterbacks or these quarterbacks that don't follow the system. They want to do things their way. Get rid of these dudes.
Well, that's the only leverage they got. Is them being the quarterback, and they talented enough, and they won something, so they got that leverage. Like, oh well, I won a Super Bowl in my career on your team. I won you a Super Bowl, so I got that leverage.
Right.
You know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl?
Man, big time. So, but I mean, at some point you gotta cut bait. And that's where I'm at with Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and I've been that way for over 2 years now. Gotta cut bait, try to get some assets for this dude and move on.
And by the way, I will give a lot of credit to Schneider and Carroll for doing what they're doing in Seattle. They pretty much turned around this team in less than 18 months.
Facts. And shout out to Snyder. Snyder was in Green Bay when we drafted Rodgers and got rid of Favre. He was part of the player personnel staffs. Snyder done seen it. Snyder know how to go about it. You know what I'm saying? When Ted Thompson had the balls to do the same thing. So shout out to Dan Snyder, another Packer legend in the front office doing his thing in Seattle.
And then at number 21, the Los Angeles Chargers, to help out Justin Herbert, they get receiver Kayshon Boutte from LSU.
I actually like that pick because I like Boutte. I think he has a ton of talent and a ton of upside. He just didn't have a quarterback. He didn't have a quarterback.
I agree.
At LSU. So,
but I don't think he's the third wide receiver taken in the draft. That's the only thing I don't think. No, that's the fourth. I'm sorry, that's the fourth.
Fourth one. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, that's the fourth. I don't think he's the fourth.
Somebody asked on Twitter, by the way, reach out to us on Twitter, hashtag the sports angle. Is Geno Smith coming back to Seattle next year? And they asked all of us.
Yes, I believe he is. He should.
I think that he will be as well. Rashad, what about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I think Geno coming back.
Yeah. I mean, he should, though. I mean, he definitely earned an opportunity to come back.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on, number 22, we had the Baltimore Ravens. And Dennis, you're a Tennessee guy, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Jalen Hyatt. That's
Jalen Hyatt, Lamar Jackson, whoever the head quarterback is in Baltimore, you finally get yourself a weapon.
Yeah.
Jalen Hyatt, that's my guy, the speedster.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how's Tennessee going to do next year? How they going to do, Dennis?
We got some guys. Like I told you, we got Squirrel. Squirrel's over there doing the water. We got Squirrel. We got some guys. We got.
And who's that quarterback now got?
We got Milton and we got Nico. I think Nico's going to get the nod as a freshman, but I would like to see Milton start the year off though, and get things rolling. Hopefully, he get things rolling. Defense is where I'm nervous about.
Absolutely, defense. So back to the NFL, doing our NFL mock draft 3.0 here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Dennis Holmes from Ignoranthinkers podcast and Rashad Stribling from It's Bro Time.
Yes.
And the next pick, the Minnesota Vikings. That secondary is getting older and older, so they get second safety Brian Branch from Alabama.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it too.
I think the secondary is slow as hell. So I like
Patrick
it.
Peterson, Harrison Smith. I mean, those guys have been a decade in.
The defense is horrible anyway, regardless. The defense is bad. But yeah, they need to get younger in the secondary, especially at safety. They got to make that transition from Harrison.
Yeah. Next pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Sunshine Trevor Lawrence. They'll take defensive back Devon Witherspoon from Illinois.
I like it. I think they might go tight end there, though. I can see
even with Evan Ingram and what he did this year.
Yeah, even with Evan Ingram, you add the kid from Utah or the kid from Notre Dame, and you pair him up with Ingram. You got some serious weapons on your hands then.
I will point out Dalton Kincaid will probably be a second-round pick, though. The tight end from Utah. He'll probably be a day 2 guy.
He might be a second-round pick, or you never. A lot of these teams, they overvalue dudes, but you never know.
Yeah.
Might sneak up in the first.
Yeah.
And you know what? The next pick, shout out to June Pierre from Off the Top Sports Radio. Shout out to the New Jersey Giants because I have them taking receiver Josh Downs from North Carolina.
I like that.
Like that pick.
Yeah.
That Giants need receivers. Let's just admit it. The New York Giants, you can't be paying Kenny Golladay $72 million for each touchdown. So
yeah, I agree.
I don't even think he got 72 touchdowns. I know he got one on us this season.
Now, you mentioned him earlier in the show, Rashad, and that was Clark Phillips, defensive back from Utah. Dallas Cowboys fans all around the world, I know you love watching this show. So at 26, I had the Dallas Cowboys taking defensive back Clark Phillips from University of Utah.
I can see that. He that's a Dallas pick. I can see that. You pair him up with Diggs, you got a nice little tandem on your hand.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not a bad pick.
Yeah, I can see that. You got to be able to stop Philly, man. They can score at will. You got to have corners to man up with those receivers because they're going to have a ton of them. So
yeah, that Mercedes Lewis, who now plays for the Packers, getting all the oldest tight end in the league, probably. But I can see where you're coming at with that, Blaze. I remember when Jacksonville got Mercedes Lewis, and then I think the next pick they went and got
Mercedes Jones-Drew. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll say this: Philadelphia isn't just the head of the NFC East; they pretty much are the head of the NFC right now. I mean, you have to beat Philly.
Yeah, oh, for sure. You have to beat Philly. That's what I'm saying. So you need corners to stop that high octane offense. So yeah.
Now, every year in every NFL draft, doesn't matter if it's in the beginning, the middle, or the end, there's always at least one running back taken in the first round. And I have the Buffalo Bills with a 27th pick, taking Bijan Robinson from University of Texas, being their running back in the future in Buffalo.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. At first,
I like it.
Yeah, I will say, Buffalo Bills fans, if you draft him and you still can't work it out, I mean, you got to admit that your running game isn't the problem at that point.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I think they just need the offensive line first, but then you get a running back. But it's all right.
And at 28, shout out to Blaze and his team, because I have the Cincinnati Bengals, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. I think, getting him as a tight end, I think that's really a big need for the Cincinnati Bengals, is getting a tight end, somebody that, taking pressure off of Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big need, but
yeah, they can go corner or offensive line right there too.
Yeah. And before somebody asks, what about the draft order? I'm just using the one that currently is to date. I'm not making predictions or anything. I'm just using the current ones.
okay.
So at 29, the Denver Broncos via the San Francisco 49ers, they will take linebacker Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Okay.
Okay.
Not mad at that.
Interesting. So Blaze says if Psyche Ikoa, defensive tackle from Baylor, hasn't been taken, I would take him at 28.
Mm-hmm. I know Psyche Okoa, big Polynesian in that middle, man. He's nice. I like him. From Baylor, I had a chance to watch him the last couple of years. He's a plugger, definitely a plugger in that middle of that defense on that defensive line. So
Okay. What's that?
All right, then we got two final picks left in our NFL Mock Draft 3.0 here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. Kansas City Chiefs defensive end Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame.
I like it.
Yeah. And then lastly, your Philadelphia Eagles, Dennis. I mean, them taking Christian Gonzalez from Oregon with a 10th overall pick. So they take Lucas Von Ness from Iowa. That'd be the pick for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That'd be a hell of a pick if they get him.
They might get him too.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a pick.
There you go.
And trying to fix that D-line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm about 2-3 minutes, just going to very quickly on the bottom of the screen here give what my mock draft is. So once again, you're just going to see it here. Colt, CJ Stroud from Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Houston Texans, Bryce Young from Alabama. Arizona Cardinals, Jalen Carter from Georgia. Chicago Bears, Will Anderson, defensive end, Alabama. Miles Murphy from Clemson, Seattle Seahawks. Carolina Panthers, Will Levis from Kentucky. Las Vegas Raiders, offensive tackle Peter Skronsky. And while I am showing that, hey, Rashad, when it comes to the draft, what is one position that you think is going to be overvalued? Or what do you think is going to be a pick that's, going to be taken a lot in this draft?
Corner.
I'm going to say wide receiver this one.
Yeah, well, probably overvalue wide. Yeah, I could probably say wide. This wide receiver class is a down class, though. It's a down year for wide receivers. But
you think so? I don't think so.
But you could. I think so. I think it's not as top heavy as it's been the last 2 years. I could say, but there's still some talented dudes in this class that can play pivotal roles on rosters. So like the Jordan Addison, like the Burner Hyatt from Tennessee, like
Right.
Jibba from Ohio State. That's a guy that,
Oh, okay.
3
You
years.
trying to say ain't no guys drafted gonna be a number one for sure.
Right, exactly. Like I could see Addison being a legit slot in this league. I could see the only guy I could see being a true number one is Nick Jigba from Ohio State, and possibly
Okay.
Downs from North Carolina. Outside of that, I don't really see a lot of true number ones. I see a lot of number twos, a lot of slot guys, still guys that can play pivotal roles on your roster. So I just don't think it's as top heavy as it's been the last 2 to 3 years, Dennis. So that's all. Still good, still really good talent, just not as top heavy.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So Blaze comes in saying Philly just farming defensive linemen.
It happens. That's for some reason they let her pick them.
Yeah. Now, as we are going to be continuing the second hour here on the Sports Angle on prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Dennis Holmes from Ignoranthinkers podcast and Rashad Stribling from It's Bro Time.
Yay,
And,
yay.
continuing the conversation in the NFL, there is a lot of discussion about young quarterbacks. And more importantly, about these quarterbacks who are about to get paid. Quarterbacks who are going to get that bag, that Brinks truck's going to pull up to their house and they're going to get X amount of millions in the upcoming next 2 years. So, Dennis, Rashad, Joshua Bailey, everyone watching around the world, when it comes to the young quarterbacks, who do you think is going to sign a record extension first? Is it going to be Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals or Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles? Rashad?
I think Joe Burrow, and I think Dennis will agree with that. Joe Burrow, it's gonna be him, especially he gets back to the Super Bowl and win this weekend. Oh, it's gonna be Joe. It's gonna be Joe.
Right.
It's gonna be Joe.
So how much money do you believe Jalen Hurts is going to get, Dennis? If you had to play, crystal ball and say, what is his rookie extension going to be?
265 with
Mm-hmm.
200 guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I'm going to say for Joe Burrow, I think he'll be 345.
Possibly. But he gonna get big money, just like Jalen Hurts will. Again, the deal, the Watson deal flipped the quarterback market on its
Yes,
ugly.
it did.
It flipped it upside down. That deal, a lot of owners were mad at the owner of the Browns for making that deal, because they knew you make that kind of deal. Now that's the standard.
Fully guaranteed deals. Yeah.
Right. And then the cap is going to go up, I think, after next year. It's supposed to go up significantly. But that's the standard now. That's why they were pissed at that deal. And I loved it. Hey, man, pay these players. You know what I'm saying? Especially the quarterbacks, the guys that make your franchise go. You got to pay them. And, I love it. I love to see it.
Yeah, when Justin Fields eventually becomes a superstar and we have to give him his rookie extension, I'm definitely not going to thank Deshaun Watson for that.
Right. You right. You definitely right. You just got to have a line in front of them. That's all.
Hey, we have so much money this offseason. We could buy the 4 best offensive line and put him on the Bears.
Hey,
Yes, you could. Yes, you could.
Yes, you could, and you definitely need to. Damn it. I hope you do, because you need a line bad.
Hey, Mike McGlinchey, San Francisco 49ers, why don't you come over to Chicago?
Yeah. Or you come get Jeff Stallion from the Philadelphia Eagles.
That too.
Hey, you know what? Bring him over to Chicago too.
That too. They need.
No, what's the old guy name? He always fix offensive line. I can't remember his name. Bill. Is it Bill? Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. Let's talk about something else. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? When it comes to young quarterbacks, somebody on social media, on Twitter, came on and said, what about Justin Herbert? Do you think he's going to get paid around $300 million when he becomes free agent?
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they're gonna give it to him.
He
He's
ain't
a very talented young quarterback.
very talented, but that's about
Can't
it.
win the big game. That's all.
Big game. That's it.
And, going from young quarterbacks to young receivers. So we know that there is two young up-and-coming receivers that were drafted, ironically, 1 year apart, that are going to be getting their rookie extension very soon. And that
Right.
is arguably the best receiver in the NFL, the gritty king himself in the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson. And then we have Jamar Chase, who has arguably put up the best 2-year run by the first 2 years as a receiver. So who do you think will get the highest paid contract for a NFL or in NFL history for a receiver? Is it going to be Justin Jefferson or is it going to be Jamar Chase? Let's start with Dennis.
Justin Jefferson. I don't think Jamar Chase gets it because Joe Burrow's there, but Justin Jefferson is going to get the highest paid contract.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Jefferson, top 5, not the best, but
No,
top
he was the best this year. I ain't
No,
gonna.
he's the best.
to me, he's not. He's not the best. You gotta do this shit and you gotta show up, show out. You can't go missing about a month and be the best receiver in the league. I'm sorry. But top 5 for me. But he'll be the first one to get paid.
All right, I'm going to ask it. Rashad, who's the best receiver in the NFL?
Devontae Adams.
Oh shit! You know why you
Man,
ask
you
me?
had to appeal to the Las Vegas crowd, the sports entertainment capital of the
The
world.
fact, hey, it don't matter who he got at quarterback. He is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Him and Mike Evans are the only 2 Hall of Famers from their draft class. So
What?
yeah,
Wait, hold on. What?
he's the only. They're the only 2 Hall of Famers from the 2014 draft class. Nobody else.
That's a very deep class, though.
It's
I
very
don't know.
2014 NFL draft. Hold up.
2014, you have Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, Devontae Adams.
class. Aaron Donald didn't go in that class.
Yeah, he did. Aaron Donald went in 2014.
I thought he went 2013.
No, 2013 was only DeAndre Hopkins and maybe Keenan Allen. That was like pretty much it.
You sure Donald was in 14? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm going to have my guy over here look it up. But I'm pretty sure I think Aaron Donald was 2014.
Ask him to look it up. If Donald was in that class, of course, Donald. Now, that's...
Yeah, Aaron Donald's there. He was number 13 pick.
Okay. Yeah, I give you Donald, Adams, and Mike Evans.
And what about Khalil Mack? I mean, his first 5 years, he was...
Khalil Mack's
come on now.
Khalil Mack's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer.
All right. I got 4 personally, but yeah, that's just me.
Oh, yeah.
What about Odell Beckham Jr.?
Hell no. Fuck no. No. Hell no. Hey, he's a...
Oh, my fault. I got one for you. Zach Martin.
Zach Martin.
Zach Martin. Maybe.
Zach Martin, man. He went all pro in 2 positions. Zach Martin.
Maybe.
He's offensive lineman. Why you
but no. I don't have nothing against O linemen. You know that. Like, no. Maybe. Depending on if he can keep this up. But Aaron Donald, hands down. Mike Evans, hands down. And Devontae Adams. Those are the only 3. So, I mean, those are generational talents. So, I think those are the only 3. I think Mike Evans for sure gets in. Like, that's no doubt.
You know what? I love my Twitter. I love the people who follow this show. Somebody said, what about Bears legend Cody Parkey? Really?
Oh, really? Really?
Okay. All right. I see how that is. All right.
But yeah, Aaron Donald for sure. Like I said, Aaron Donald, Mike Evans, and Devontae Adams. You got to make your name in the playoffs, man. You know, you could do whatever you can do in the regular season. That's cool. And JJ from Minnesota, he balled out in the regular season. Boy went missing the last month of the year. And yeah, going into the playoffs, he did not do anything. And you make your name in the playoffs. So I can't give him the best receiver in the league.
All right. So this is actually to Rashad here. Hashtag sports angle. All right. Name your top 5 receivers in the NFL right now.
Right now, barring, I guess injury plays a part. So, but I'm gonna put no order. I'm gonna put Cooper Kupp. I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase.
I'm glad you became a believer now. Let me get that out the way.
Cooper, you got
Glad you're a believer.
and his just due. Hey, he got Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you got to show up in the playoffs, bro. I don't care. Like, Justin Jefferson, it's cute what you did in the regular season. It was real cute. You got to the playoffs and didn't do anything. Absolutely nothing. Cooper Kupp shows up in the playoffs. Devontae Adams shows up in the playoffs. Jamar Chase shows up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to show up in the playoffs. Tyreek Hill shows up in the playoffs. That's where you make your name. I can't get that to Justin Jefferson. Nah.
My only like input I would put on there is like, to me, the top 3 is Jefferson, Hill, and Adams. Like, that's like top 3. And then after that, 4 and 5 can pretty much be debatable between 5 or 6 people.
I hear you, but I mean, like I said, I'm taking, as good as Jefferson is, like I said, the dude is undeniable, one of the best in the game, but you cannot go missing for a month, man. I'm sorry. You just can't. You can't. And until he can show me he can do these things when it matters the most, I can't put him top 3. I just can't. I'll take Kupp over him. I'll take Adams over him. And I'll take Jamar Chase right now over him.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Oh, by the way,
comment?
is A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith a top 10 receiver?
A.J. Brown is, not Devontae Smith. I think Dennis will agree with that.
I agree. I think Devontae Smith can be a top 10, but it's not right now.
But A.J. Brown for sure.
Okay. And, since we are in the sports entertainment capital of the world, the sports betting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, we got to get to the Raiders real quick. Because there's been a lot of talk and conversation about who the next quarterback is going to be. Who's going to be the quarterback that's going to be the face of the Raiders following this year. I've seen people say they're going to take Will Levis in the draft. I've seen people say they're going to go and get 45-year-old Tom Brady to be their quarterback. I know Rashad even talked about Aaron Rodgers potentially being their quarterback. But I want to know from Dennis, Rashad, and also everyone watching around the world, if you had to say, all right, who's going to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders? Who's going to walk out of that tunnel next year wearing silver and black? Who do you think it's going to be and why? Rashad, I'll start with you.
I'm going to say, if I had to really put my money on it, I say Brady. And the reason why is he knows the system, familiarity with Josh McDaniels. I think the Raiders wanted him before. It was mixed reviews between him and Carr. Obviously, when that report came out, I think they'll make it right with him this time. I think they want Brady. Obviously, Brady, the name, it brings a ton of money, ton of ticket sales, ton of jersey sales. But I think when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be Brady with a dark horse of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. Tom Brady, dark horse, Jimmy Garoppolo. What about you, Dennis?
I was going Jimmy Garoppolo. Because all the same reasons he said about Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I understand the whole Patriots philosophy, and, it's a very compelling argument. I get that. But I'm going to stay with who I've had from the very beginning. I have said for months and months and months that if the Las Vegas Raiders wanted to get a quarterback, if the Las Vegas Raiders really want to win and build around Devontae Adams, you call the Baltimore Ravens and you get Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a top 5 talent in the NFL. Like when it comes to quarterback, he is top 5.
I agree.
And if the Las Vegas Raiders are seriously wanting to win, you go call Baltimore and you go get Lamar Jackson.
I mean, I agree, but I don't see that happening. I think Baltimore is going to do all they can to keep him at the crib. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
My dark horse, by the way, would be Geno Smith because I think what he did in Seattle, he could do here as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see though, but I'm gonna stick with Brady. Raiders gonna Raider. They're gonna do what they do, and I'm gonna say Brady. I'm gonna stick with saying it's gonna be Brady. It'd be great if it's Rodgers, but it'll probably be great Brady.
Okay.
There was also, we're talking about quarterbacks here. Well, there still is a quarterback technically on the roster in Derek Carr. And with the Carolina Panthers, they need a quarterback. Indianapolis Colts, they need a quarterback. So with Derek Carr having that no trade clause and what he has in his contract, do you think it's likely that he'll be released instead of being traded? Or is there even a realm of possibility that the Raiders get any value for him in a trade?
I think the Raiders can still get value for him, but more than likely, I think he's gonna be cut. He's gonna be released, and with the releasing of Carr, they free up $40 million. So, regardless, I think he's gonna be released.
Alrighty. And what about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. They're gonna release him, save him some money. But if they can make a trade, there's always a dummy out there. Go ahead and make the trade. Probably Houston Texans take him.
Yeah, yeah, the Texans can take him. Jets can take him. The Commanders.
Damn, I didn't even think about him going to the Jets.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good move.
The Commanders, the Saints.
No, fuck the Commanders.
The Saints. He go to a few teams, man. It's a few teams out there that would love to take his services.
Hey, you know what? That's definitely a very good possibility. Now, we have about 10 minutes left here in the show on the Sports Angle on prconnectionradio.com, the voice of new media. So we're going to shift very, very quickly to the association and talk about the NBA. Now, I'm going to point this out that, yes, my NBA team is going to be barely in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be fighting to stay in playoff contention. But, we have the glorious play-in now, which is just a glorified participation trophy, in my opinion. But when it comes to it, my team will most likely be in there at the end. But, Rashad, man, I can't say the same for your team, though.
Oh, man.
I mean, your team, they're probably going to be going into the draft lottery and hoping they get somebody of value. Eventually, second round, maybe third round, undrafted free agent,
something. It's just bad right now as a Laker fan, man, in La La Land. LeBron's out here scoring 40 a game, still losing. It's just it's not healthy. Time to move on. Again, these aging superstars.
Fountain of youth. Don't always call that fountain of youth.
Man.
Why you think I like Memphis so much?
Man, exactly. I love Ja too. I like Ja Moran, and it's just, man, it's you hanging on to these old ass superstars. Not to say LeBron can't play, because he can still play.
Yeah, he can still play.
Yeah, but trade him. Get what you can for him while he can still play. And you need to get younger. But again, man, these aging superstars, I just don't get it. Both my teams, Lakers and the Packers, man. These aging old ass superstars. This is a young man's game, as you guys know. You gotta get younger, man. You gotta get younger and move off these superstars, these legends. They're legends, granted. Much respect. Appreciate what you've done. It's time to move on.
It's like that quote in that movie. Yeah, he'll really help us with our season ticket sales, but he's
Right.
not going to play half the year.
No, exactly. And we're gonna suffer because of it. And long in the long term. And that's what we're doing. So yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
shout out to Moneyball, by the way. If you were wondering what movie that was, shout out to
Yeah.
Moneyball.
Shout out to Moneyball and shout out to my Lakers still dropping the ball. So yeah.
And, shout out to Anthony Davis. I mean, he is a Chicago legend. I'm always going to hold Anthony Davis in the highest
He played
regards.
the other day too.
Yeah, and got hurt again.
Got hurt again. Yeah.
Because he's wearing low tops at 7 foot. It makes no sense.
And by the way, you do have 6th man of the year and the most expensive player on your team, Russell Westbrook. So
yeah, exactly. Make it make sense, Lakers, because you're not.
Yeah. But you know what? I will point out this. At least you don't have Tobias Harris as your highest paid player over Joel Embiid. So
Yeah.
We're number 2 in the East.
Right, exactly.
yeah. I feel like Joel Embiid is kind of underpaid. Actually, no, scratch that. He is underpaid, Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Totally different scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's funny you mentioned the Memphis Grizzlies because I have them coming out of the West. Could be a hot take, but I have them coming out of the West. I think John Morant will be in his first NBA Finals this May.
I hope so. That'd be amazing to watch, man. Yeah. Oh, young Ja.
But who you got coming out of the East, though? I think I know Dennis's answer, but Rashad, who you got coming out of the East?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to still go Boston.
Okay.
I'm still gonna have to say Boston.
I ain't expecting Boston to be this nice. I ain't gonna lie to you.
And Dennis, you got Philadelphia? Who you got?
Yeah, I got Philly.
I got the best player in the league. I got Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
I think Milwaukee versus Memphis. That's my pick. It's gonna be Milwaukee versus Memphis.
We'll see.
Now, I think in terms of ratings, the NBA wouldn't like my answer, but I still think Milwaukee versus Memphis would be great for the
NBA. Never know, man.
Finals.
Memphis is a special team. I love Memphis, bro.
Yeah. From a marketing standpoint, probably not.
Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, if it's not Boston, not LA, not a California team, doesn't really do that well. So
of course not.
We also heard about the All-Star game, and more importantly, the starters for the All-Star game. And it was only the first 10 players. Of course, the rest of them are going to get announced later. But the Eastern Conference, Giannis, KD, JT, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, and Kyrie Irving. Is there anybody you would swap out on that list?
No.
Yeah. I'm giving it to Kyrie.
No, okay.
But
here's my thing. Because there's officially no center, even though on the West there's a center, I say having Joel Embiid would be my pick on the Eastern Conference. So.
Okay. I'm gonna say Luka is my pick on the Western Conference.
And you know what? When it comes to,
I think Bro Time gonna say John Morant.
I like Ja. Okay.
Absolutely.
He's my favorite player in the league.
Yeah. Hey, absolutely. And you know what? We got about 30 seconds left before we wrap up the show. So I'm just going to say real quick, Western Conference, I agree with Jokic. I agree with LeBron, with what he does. I agree with Steph, and I agree with Luka. If there hadn't been the 2 forwards, 2 guards, and a center, I would say Shea would be my 5th pick. I think what Shea's been doing this year in Oklahoma City has been phenomenal. But they have that stipulation in the NBA All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, we have a few minutes left here in the show. So, Rashad, let everybody know where they can find you, any projects you're working on.
Oh man, it's bro time. We trying to get the podcast full back in effect in March. My co-host, she's a mom. She's a brand new mom, so she's been doing that the last couple of years. So right now, that's what I'm working on. Trying to get the podcast back this year and moving that forward. Other than that, you can catch me on Stay Tuned every Tuesdays. I'm always on Stay Tuned, and go to It's Bro Time on all platforms and show some love and support.
Yep. And you know what? I definitely appreciate you having you on the show.
Same
And
here.
you're welcome back any single time, man. I appreciate having on.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
All right. And Dennis, what about you? Tell everybody where I can find you.
The Ignorant Thinker Podcast is on all social media platforms. Ignorant Thinker Podcast, it's right there at Ignorant Thinker Podcast. That way we go ahead and have a good time.
Yeah, and you know what? If I ever get a day off, or if I ever get a morning shift again, I will appear on his show every once in a while on Tuesday nights. And
you know, we love to have you on.
Hey, absolutely, yeah, of course. And I always like bringing you on the show, and Rashad, Joshua, Sharon. I try to bring everybody on as much as I can. So I will say that. And I will also advertise prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. There's a bunch of fantastic content on there. Cozy Stone, she puts out fantastic work. Brian Gardner with We Got the Power. You also have the Professionals podcast. I mean, there's so many shows on PR Connections Radio that I can't even remember all of them. But if I forgot anybody, it's not intentional. It's just this a fantastic network. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to Guy Dawson, the founder of PR Connections Radio. If he did not create PR Connections Radio, then this show would not be here. So I want to give a shout out to Guy Dawson. And also to Las Vegas, the sports entertainment capital of the world, the place that calls the sports angle on PR Connections Radio home. I'm always going to be thankful to Las Vegas, Nevada. And I also want to very quickly give a shout out to Philadelphia. Shout out to Philadelphia, man. One of the best sports cities over the last 5 years. I mean, 76ers doing well. Phillies doing well. Eagles doing well. I mean, hey, Philadelphia, they become really a good sports city over the last 5 years. Shout out to Philadelphia as well.
Shout out to us, baby. We need all the love we can get. And Ian, thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. That was Dennis Holmes. And this was another fantastic